How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Next Best Thing Studios. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on the SVS PB13. This is my endgame subwoofer, and I use this in my home theater system. So before I got this subwoofer, I had dual 10 inch subwoofers from a company called Energy. It was a Canadian company that eventually got acquired by Klipsch. Now, I had two of these subwoofers. They were 10-inch drivers, ported, and they went down to 23 hertz. But being a enthusiast and wanting to know what's out there, I looked online, and there was a certain company that kept on popping up. It was SVS. And it was like the go-to company for a home theater subwoofer. So once I got to a better financial state and I sold my Energy Veritas subwoofers, I found this subwoofer locally and I wanted to try it out. So a friend and I actually traveled all the way to this older gentleman's house and we went to pick up the subwoofer. But before we did, we had a demo. And I was scarred by that demo. Not because the subwoofer was insane or not. I mean, it is insane, but the gentleman demoing the subwoofer didn't know what he was doing. He essentially lowered the LFE effects channel, which is essentially the subwoofer channel, and raised the volume of his speakers. And he had these horn-loaded JBL speakers that, man, my ears were ringing. And my friend, my poor friend who thought he was in for a blast, literally jolted off his seat and went back into my car. And the owner of the subwoofer had no idea what was going on. He thought the subwoofer just scared him. I mean, besides that, I had a good enough of demo to, realize that the subwoofer is insane and that I wanted it. So we lugged this 160-pound subwoofer into another friend's car because my car couldn't fit it. And his SUV drove to my house and I drove in my car. But I hit a pothole on my way home and I cracked the rim and I had quite a night and I wasn't even done. I had to bring this bad boy down to my basement, set it up properly, and, actually, commence the real fun. So I went ahead and did that the next day. Now, this subwoofer is pretty cool. It has 3 tuning options and 3 ports at the front. And the stock or, regular tuning is having all ports open. And I think it's tuned at about 16 hertz. So when I initially set it up, I, cranked it to 50%. That's what, the receiver tells you to do. And I had all the ports open and I hooked it up. And it was weird because I was playing test tones, but I wasn't hearing anything. What actually happened was that my entire house was having like a magnitude 7 earthquake and things were falling. And my office over there had stuff falling off the shelves. It was crazy. And I got some phone calls from my siblings upstairs saying, hey, what the hell's going on? So yeah, that happened. Essentially, after a bit of tuning, I essentially have it where I have it all of the ports plugged. I lowered the volume, tuned it, and reran my Odyssey calibration or room correction with my Marantz receiver. And now I'm at a good spot. And I actually had some issues with my receiver. My receiver's acting up. But at that time, I thought it might have been the subwoofer. So I actually called SVS. And when people say that SVS is a great company or, superb customer support, I'm not even joking. I had really good customer support. So usually when you call customer service or customer support, you're on the line for a long time. You're waiting for an available agent. And it might not even be someone that is qualified to answer your questions. In my experience, I immediately met someone, a service representative who knew what he was talking about. I didn't have to wait long. He was in the USA. He wasn't overseas. and I had a phenomenal time just talking to him, setting up the subwoofer, and realizing it was my receiver. And it was just superb customer support. And I'm not even the original owner. I'm like the third or second owner, and this is out of warranty now. But for a 4-year-old sub, I was pretty impressed with the service I received. And I gotta, give him that shout out, because that was one of the reasons why I still have this subwoofer today. And I really want to try other SVS subwoofers, because not only is the product insane, the service is definitely raising the bar. So let's talk about the rest of the experience. So once I had this finally initially tuned, everything good, I'm going from 2 subs to 1. So I immediately noticed some things. You're not going to get as much dispersion or even dispersion with a single sub. It's a lot more trickier with placement. And I learned that the hard way, because now that I've been through all of that ordeal and I've got it down here, I really don't want to get rid of it, essentially. The performance, though. So the actual low frequency effect extension is insane. It pressurizes the room really well. Nothing like my 10-inch ported subwoofers. What I did find is that my dual subwoofers and stereo subs were a bit more tighter and punchier, and they definitely had even dispersion. Where this subwoofer kicks them in the ass is how low this subwoofer hits. And I had to tune it at the 20 hertz tuning, because it got so low that I felt like the foundation of my house was rattling, and it was a bit scary for my preference. But so the real takeaway for me is, although one good subwoofer is great, what I would prefer is maybe 2 SB 2000s or 2 PB 2000s, because for one, I have a medium-sized room. My room is about 20 feet long, 25 feet long, 15 feet wide, and about 12 feet high or so. And it is a bit open, so my basement does extend in other areas. And this subwoofer at even like 25% volume is more than enough to fill up this room. So in future hindsight, I would probably go for dual subs, but not as powerful. I mean, the easiest solution would be to get another one of these, but these are discontinued, and finding space to fit this massive thing in a way that makes sense is a bit more difficult. Who I'd recommend this subwoofer for is for those who have a dedicated home theater. It's huge, like multiple rows of seating, and you want something that will knock your socks off, because this definitely does it. And to be quite honest with you, despite the caveat of not having even dispersion, I've got it to a point where I'm quite happy. I did play around with placement, and I had to do a sub crawl, but the way where I ideally want to put the sub crawl, or where I want to place my subwoofer, doesn't make sense. And that's just one of the caveats that could be mitigated by having dual subs. So if I had the choice of doing dual subs or one, I would go dual. But in this case, I'm stuck with this guy. And I'm not really sad, because when I need it to perform, it performs. And that basically concludes my thoughts. Have you guys had a similar experience? Have you ever downgraded a sub because it was way too powerful? And have you ever moved from 2 subs to 1 only to find yourself a tad bit dissatisfied? Let me know, because one of the sayings I've learned on the net is that once you go dual, you can't go back. And for me, it is really hard not to go back. And you might see me with another one of these maybe in the future. Who knows? When the upgrade bug itches, it itches. So that's about it, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. And make sure to subscribe if you haven't, because it doesn't cost you a dime and it really helps us as a channel grow and provide you videos that'll definitely, help us both. So with that being said, peace.